Hello, listeners, and welcome back to another episode of Pitstop Fracas. I am your host, Richard, and we're here today to review the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Here to help me today to review today's Grand Prix is none other than Martz. Martz, that's a very interesting background, brother. How are we doing today?
It's George Russell behind me. That's what it is.
Oh, Martin, is that where we're going already, big man? Richard, we'll get to it, man. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on,
you can't even reveal yourself already, but yeah. Don't worry. Kwame, how are you doing today, bro?
Just for the listeners who are listening on Spotify, my background is Car from the Jungle Book. And if you need to know what Car is the snake.
Damn, we'll get into that. Don't worry, we'll get into that. Kwame, with your prison internet, how are we doing today, bro? It's look, you don't come up.
Don't have that, Kwame. That's rude. Defend yourself, Kwame. You can't stand for that.
What's a fight back?
Hey, other than that, man, I'm recording live from my parents' basement, but other than that, I'm not too bad, man. I just came back, eating, good steak today, some good Nobu. I'm happy with my boys.
Wi-Fi at home or Wi-Fi on the plane?
Was there an egg in there as well? You had some eggs in there? Boiled egg?
The disrespect.
You see the plane, there's actually no Wi-Fi, so it'd be at home still.
That's crazy. Anyways, strap for time. So let's move on to our special guest, none other than the legend himself. Originates in this thing, been doing this for, I don't know how many years. Maybe you can tell me. So the Cameron himself.
Dude, 2016. That's far, isn't it? 17 years. Not to reveal my age or anything, Richard, but you know what? Bro, I'm here. I'm grateful for you guys hosting me, and I'm looking to pod, man. I'm looking to pod. There's some things that we need to get to, Richard, not least of which Martin's thing about car. Where you get that from? Martin? What are you talking about? Snake? How, Sway? How?
How, Sway? You ain't got the answer, Sway.
What are you talking
Jumping right in already.
Bro, you raised it, Martin. You raised it. We're changing the background and everything. Like, how are you going to call George Russell a snake? He's a racing driver. Sorry, Martin. Sorry, I'm taking over your schedule, big man. Let me mute.
Okay, let's get into Quali first. Then we'll get into Mercedes. Okay, let's talk about Quali. So we had a real interesting Quali. In Q1, Lando, I think, touched the wall, so he went out, unfortunately. Of course, couple man went for a quick spinneroonie and whatnot. Also, Max, he had an engine. Did he have an engine issue? He had some sort of issue anyway. So he managed to go out in Q2.
Drive shaft.
Yeah, drive shaft. Yeah, that's it. Drive shaft issue. So, of course, that meant Checo pole, Shaw P2, but obviously dropped back due to the penalty, which bumped up then Alonso. Then it also bumped up then George Russell as well. So, yeah, Quali was certainly not an all-timer. It was definitely an interesting one. So, Cam, I'm going to come to you on this, brother. What's your thoughts and takeaways from Quali? And is there any, standout performers or any stinkers you want to call out?
All I've got to say here, Richard. Oh, Fernando Alonso. Let's go. Fernando Alonso murdered it, didn't he? Got Martin screwing up his face. Fernando Alonso was the one, right? Outperforming that car. Listen, I'm here for him, and here's why I'm here for him, Richard. For the longest time, I thought I feel like Fernando. Listen, we can love or hate him, right? But I feel like he's a standout driver, one of the drivers of his generation. But he hasn't had the requisite wheels to nail it. And now, finally, Aston Martin in that AM R23 have given him the wheels with which he can compete, and he's competing. He's not even a good qualifier. We know that. But yet and still, he's putting it up there in third, being promoted to second. Loving it. What I'm not loving, Richard, Sir Lewis, man. Killing me, bruv. The qualifying pace ain't there. The car's not there. And listen, I know focus is on race pace, more time. But the qualifying pace, getting out qualified every single time at the moment, man. And I'm not loving it, bruv. Not loving it.
No. I know. I totally agree with you. It's not nice, especially when it's a couple of times as well. But yeah, Martz, I know you're dying to speak and whatnot. What's your thoughts and takeaways from Quali? And do you have any qualms over Mercedes? Of course, George Mansell, unfortunately, out-qualify Lewis again. So is the questions need to be asked there, or is it just one of those days?
Very nasty. Very, very nasty.
Well,
But anyway, I'm not going to talk about Mercedes. I spoke about them enough in Quali yesterday in the space, so I'm tired of it. I'm tired of talking about them. And we're going to talk about them again later. So I'm going to focus on, let's say, the Piastri. I want to focus on Piastri. I think he had an amazing Quali. He was very good to get that dump truck into Q3. That was a performance that, yeah, well done to him. Also, Logan Sargent was showing some good stuff as well in that Quali. It's a shame that he kind of hit the wall, but yeah, I think those the rookies are doing some good things this year, and well, 2 of the 3 rookies are doing good things this year. So it's good to see that we've got some good drivers coming through, especially from America as well. That's all I have to say on Quali. I'm not giving into that Fernando Alonso comment.
Not trying to be triggered. I hear that still.
What?
Protect your mental wealth. You get me? don't bite yet, Cam. Don't bite yet. All right, Kwame, I'm coming to you on this, brother. What's your thoughts on Quali? You know, who impressed you? Who didn't impress you? Of course, you're someone who's quite focused on the youth. You know, people similar your age and whatnot. So, what do you think of the likes of course, Piastri and Logan Sargent and whatnot, and also Nick DeVries? Your op.
Hey, listen, I'm on positivity. I'm on positivity today, man. So I'm not gonna talk
about No, Kwame, fuck that. No, I don't want no positivity. No one. This is the nice guy. We need villain or Kwame. Give me some of that. That's what I paid for. That's why I'm here, bro. Go give me a bit of that.
Hey. I mean, okay. I'll do a quick little segment on AT. Listen, they were mocking Yuki for not getting out of Q1. Him being 1,000 attempts off of not getting through. But he dumped 3 attempts on his teammate, who's the experienced guy. Let me not speak too much on that. But just think about that. Just think about that. Listen. But Sargent was doing very well. Unfortunately for him, he was over the right line, and there was a lot of contention about that after the quali, about is that because it wasn't all 4 wheels, it was just 2 wheels on the white line. So should that have been deleted or not? But FAA harsh, but unfortunately for Logan, rules are rules, and after that, kind of lost his head and spun the car. But other than that, he was cooking. He would have made it out of Q1, possibly could have gone to Q3 as well. So he was definitely had the pace for that weekend. But unfortunately for him, he was at the back of the grids, and Oscar as well did his thing. That McLaren is I'd say that's one of the worst cars on the grid this season. A car that they haven't developed since end of last year, and he pushed that car. And also have to remember his teammate Lando. Lando's one of the next big stars in the sport, the next big thing. Obviously, yes, he had issues in quali, which is not entirely his fault, but Oscar managed to get that car into Q3 into P10, and you've got to give him a round of applause on the second race in the season, and someone who's got good experience in Saudi Arabia as well, which knowing F2 where they haven't got power steering in a circuit like that, he's got experience there, man. So wait for the season for him. He's cooking something too. Fairly, he's cooking something.
Yeah, no, cool. So let's move on to the main topic at hand, and that is Mercedes. So it was alleged that apparently there was team orders, but now at the time of recording, it's been debunked that there was no team orders.
So I didn't hear this debunking. Can someone confirm what this debunking came from, where the evidence came from, or was it them coming up with their PR machine saying there was no team orders?
Sky Sports F1.
I know what they're doing to my boy right now. I'm not.
Well, Sam and Lazenby said that there was no team orders coming from Mercedes. That apparently George was having a separate conversation with his engineer, and not to do with
it didn't quite sound like that on a team radio. I'll be real with you. It kind of sounded like they said, "Can you let Lewis pass?" And he kind of said, "Well, I'm chasing Alonso, who's got a 5-second penalty." it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was a confirmed team order saying let Lewis pass, and it wasn't like a definite let Lewis pass, but there was a definitely thing about Lewis is on a quicker tire. He's probably got the quicker car. Let him pass and see what he can do. And George was after Alonso. He thought he can get after Alonso, which he didn't. He failed, and ultimately ruined Lewis's tire. Well, I say ruined Lewis trying to pass Russell. Kind of ruined his tires and then ended up just having to save them because Mercedes picked a terrible strategy. Because why are you pitting the guy? I don't care if it's a safety car. You don't pit him when he's on the hards, when you know the hards can do about 30 laps, 35 laps. You know, like, it doesn't make sense for me to pit him at lap 19 when he's on hards, when everybody else is just coming off mediums. It's while I do think George was at fault for some things, Mercedes, again, the strategy just letting them down. It's stupid team orders. But again, as I said, the snake behind me, he does what he wants to benefit himself. He's not a team player, and he never will be. And bring back Bottas.
Oh my God!
Bring back Bottas. Damn. Cam, cook, bro. Come on, cook, bro.
Martin, what are we doing, bro? Come on, let's be serious, man. Let's not do this today. This is chaos, Martin, what we're talking about here. You've gone too far. Bring back Bottas. Let's not forget, Bottas, Mexico Cota, where was he? If they'd done what they needed to do and been a bit more serious, mention no names, Toto Wolff, and put George Russell of Kings Lynn at Norfolk in the car for the last 4 races, Lewis Russell would have 8 officially, not 7. You took it too far, Martin. You took it too far, brethren.
George would have been so excited to be in that W12 that he would have tried going for the race and crashed into Lewis.
You took it too far. You took it too far. I agree with your sentiment, Martin. I do agree with your sentiment. George can be a bit like he does tend to get his elbows out at the wrong time sometimes. I get what you're saying. But when it's crunch time, them last 4 races, when you need a proper rear gunner like a Georgie Russell, Kings Lynn, Norfolk, first of his name, put him in the car, sack off Bottas. Bottas is just party. Do you remember that? I feel like it was Mexico, wasn't it? It was Mexico when he put Bottas, quick qualifier, put
Mexico
it on pole.
When he was on pole.
And and it just made Verstappen come around the outside into turn 1. Round the outside, Martin. Round the outside. Are we Eminem here?
It's exaggeration. It was just in the space yesterday. The streets were calling for bring back Bottas. Obviously, we don't want Bottas to come back because we do remember France.
All right, fine.
We remember Kota.
I'm glad you clarified that point, Martin. I'm glad you clarify.
We need a better teamate for Hamilton.
But I'll go on then, Martin. You said something that I think is really critical that we highlight. Yeah, you said George Russell does for himself. Martin, he's an F1 driver. What the fudge do you expect him to do, brethren? What do you expect him to do? He's not there to wipe. He's not there to wipe Lewis's bottom for him. He's a young dude. Kwame can talk to this man, youngest dude on the pod. He's a young dude and he's coming to get his. What else do you expect him to do, Martin?
I expect him to be a team player. I expect you to be a team player. You're not in a winning car at the moment to be behaving like this. If you're in a winning car, then fair enough. You're not in a winning car. I feel like he's out here. You know what? He knows Lewis is on the mediums. Let him pass. See if he can get Alonso. If he doesn't, you get the position back. It's simple things. We used to get with you can get in the past.
Martin, don't work like that.
And I think this goes to the fact that he doesn't know the type of character that Lewis is. Lewis isn't the type of character that when he gets an order like that, he's not going to be like, I'm not going to give the place back to George. He will give the place back to George.
Hold on, Martin. Let me fact check your maths here because I think your memory's a bit short. 2007 Hungary. Do you remember that a lot? Do you remember?
Yeah, but he was with another dickhead, so that's kind of
okay. But Lewis has that in his locker. Yeah, the way that all came about. The way that all came about, Martin.
Envelopes to my team and telling me to sabotage my car. I'm sabotaging your race too. It doesn't matter.
All right then. Calm, brother. All I will say to you,
you can't liken this situation to what was a very toxic situation.
Different. I agree with you in that sense, Martin. All I will say to you, bruv, I think it's a stretch to label and characterize how George Russell behaved today as a snake. He behaved as an F1 driver is expected to behave, especially a young one like George Russell. You all seen the maneuver on Jack Aitken. Like he's a mad geezer. He doesn't care what he's going to do for himself. And I can't hate it, bruv. As a Lewis Hamilton fan, it's not convenient to me. But George Russell isn't for my convenience, yeah. He's not. He's an F1 driver and he's there to get 25 points every single race weekend.
I agree with that, as I said, but it's just you're doing for the team at the moment. This isn't about the car is rubbish and you want the team to perform as well as they can. And if your teammate can has a chance to do something better, I think you allow that to happen. And if it doesn't happen, then you switch positions. We see it all the time in the sport. It's not like it's a new thing. And once you get behind that, then there's no reason to be like, you can get your points. You will get your points. He would have still finished podium if Lewis couldn't catch him. If Lewis couldn't caught Alonso, then it's up to him now to pass Alonso.
Martin, let me just ask you this one question finally on this.
Yeah.
If I think the way I remember it, lap 28, Lewis is on the mediums, George is on the hards. Yeah, Lewis gets close, maybe a little bit within DRS. George comes on and says, "What's going on?" Say, you know what? Just be careful because Lewis is on quicker tire than you. George, then what does he do, Martin? All of a sudden, Lewis is nowhere to be seen within that DRS zone. So you don't even have there's no argument, bruv. If Lewis is quicker, then you want to stay within that DRS zone and nail him because then you put the team in a position where they need to make a decision. As soon as that gap between George and Lewis is equal to or greater than 1 second, we don't have this conversation to have, Martin, because Lewis ain't close enough, bruv. So it's a moot point, greater or equal to the 1 second. What are we talking about this for? Got to get closer, man.
I can hear what you're saying, but then, as I said, from what the radio sounded like, it was Lewis is on the quicker strategy, let him pass, and he didn't. That's what the radio sounded like to me, and that's what I'm basing everything I'm saying on. And this isn't just basing on this race as well. This is based on past races in which he has done similar things, where he stopped Hamilton from getting podiums in the past as well, because he's decided to pit and kind of leave him vulnerable. And it's a recurring thing now. It's a recurring thing.
Martin, you're telling me there? Okay, so I think you're talking about Zandvoort as far as the pit. You see you identify, because George Russell's race IQ is up there, yeah? You identify, Martin, in George Russell's situation, you identify the optimal strategy for you. But that, by extension, sabotages your teammate. Do you do it, or do you continue to wipe the bottom of your teammate? Every single time you're going to take that, you're going to do what's best for you.
Martin. This is what I mean. He's not a team player. This is where it comes in. He's not a team player.
F1 drivers don't tend to be, Martin, is my point.
I think they tend. The only person that hasn't tended to be is Max Verstappen. But he has every right because he's in a winning car. When it was Max Verstappen versus Danny Ricciardo, everybody was criticizing Max for not being a team player, because you're trying to maximize the amount of points you're getting. If you're not going to help your team maximize the amount of points you're getting, what is the point in you being in the team? If your main goal isn't to win a championship, the drivers' championship, your main goal should be getting the team as high up in the constructors' championship as possible. And if that means you have to sacrifice your race, then it should mean you have to do that for yourself. And it's vice versa. If Lewis wasn't doing it, then it's a problem. If Russell's not doing it, it's a problem.
Martin, honestly, brother, on this, I think we have to agree to disagree. I think
we are going to disagree.
I think.
Who'd have thought?
Listen, when somebody shows you who they are, F1 drivers, you got to take them at their word. George Russell is George Russell. You're not going to catch him doing anything other than what George Russell will do, right? He's an F1 driver through and through. He's going to come every race weekend with a view to maximize his opportunity of getting 25 points. Period. point blank period. There's nothing else to say. And sometimes that will look ostensibly like him sabotaging sabotaging Lewis, even although he has given Lewis a couple of blows. Remember that time when he said anybody else ran the outside of me and I would have run them off the road? I think he has given Lewis a couple different blows, but because we're all Lewis fans, we all get a bit sensitive. But I think we're going to have to agree to disagree on this, Martin.
We will.
Yeah. No, that was a good, that's very interesting debate, to be fair, you know. So it's interesting to see Martz get challenged sometimes, but he holds it down. He holds it down, to be fair, you know. He's very passionate about hating George, and I respect it. You know, it's just like, Cam, you're passionate about, you know.
Listen, I've always said this.
Straight to the point.
If George has one hater, it's me. If I am dead, so if he has 0 haters, and it means I am dead.
But you know what the joke is, Martin? Even in the way that you talk about him, if you're real, bruv, I can see in your eyes, Martin, that you know the type of driver that you're dealing with in George Russell. You know it, bruv. Because anybody
that's why I called him a mistake.
No. But I'm talking about his potential. You know, really. Be honest, bruv. Get the Bible and let's swear on it. Be real. You know that one day George Russell is going to be a driver's champion. You have to know, bruv, because you've been watching. You know, bruv.
Mercedes, I wouldn't go that far.
Oh, but that's different. We're talking about. But you know, one day in equal machinery, George Russell will be a driver's champion.
He can get a cheap Jules Villeneuve title.
Oh, Martin.
Oh, God, Martz. Right, Okay, Martz. Let me just ask you just one question. Okay, let's say you're Toto Wolff here, and of course you've got Lewis as number 1, and then you was given the option. What, Lewis is not number 1?
No.
Okay,
I think what Toto's been saying for the past couple of days is clearly showing that there is no number 1 driver. The fact that you're willingly saying, I'm willing to let my driver go instead of breaking off an arm and a leg to keep a 7-time world champion.
Don't misquote Martin. Don't misquote. That's not what he said, bro. He didn't say he's willing to let his driver go. Let's be honest.
He said if we don't build the car, then he's going to have to look somewhere else. That's not giving me confidence. That doesn't give me confidence, and that doesn't say you want me here. What I want to hear is I'm going to break every engineer's back to make sure that they build a car. So while I'm keeping my 7-time world champion in this car, and we're going to go win 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 until he retires. That's the type of confidence I want from my team principal, and that's the type of confidence a Christian Horner will give. That is what he will say. He remember when Max was coming to. There's a point when Max was coming to the break, and he said it's on us to give us the championship because we know what his potential is, and we are going to build him a car to win a championship, and that's what he did. Toto can't be coming out and saying, giving wishy-washy answers like this. It's ridiculous to me.
Yeah, but Martz, like, to be fair, I think since I'd say 2021. Toto's been moving a bit mad, I can't lie, in terms of how he's presented himself and what he's been saying to the media and so on and so forth. These little swipe comments like, Lewis will never be greater than Schumacher no matter what. And, you know, of course...
Who said that, bro? Who said that?
Toto Wolff. Yeah, he said, like, no matter what, Lewis will never be greater than Schumacher. And I was
like, yourself.
Cam, you don't know me. I have a massive Toto agenda. I told guys about this.
I did not know that he'd said that. I did not.
I'll have to try to find the quotes. But yeah, I did seen it, and I was like, that's a very weird thing to say when you've got Lewis Hamilton in your car.
I did not. But
he's been very how to put it. He's been showing his ass a bit, if you will. But don't worry, we'll do a Toto Wolff special. We'll do a Toto Wolff special later in the season. I'll host that. I'll invite whoever wants to come on and just talk about Toto, because the discussion does need to be had, because this last 18 months, 2 years, he's been moving a bit mad, I can't lie. There's been a big behavioral change, and now him saying, if we can't provide a car for Lewis, then he should move on. That's the best thing he said in 2 years, because at least he's being honest. I'm being serious. It's the best thing he said in 2 years, because he's basically admitting, no, Martz, let me finish. Hang on.
I know this is a low, but that low.
No. Listen now. Let me finish. He's basically admitting, I do not have the capabilities to make my driver happy. And you know what? I respect that, because I believe him. I believe him.
Okay.
You've already lost staff to Aston Martin. I've heard he's lost a few staff to Alpine as well. He's probably lost some staff. Actually, he has, not even probably. He's lost staff to Red Bull as well. And won't surprise me if he's even lost staff to Ferrari. So he's lost probably key men and women that have affected the car. He hasn't replaced them thoroughly. And now he's just
guys
scrambling
go
for
work on a boat.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
stupid.
There you go.
It's
James
stupid.
Allison working on a boat. Yeah. And what is it? Mike Elliott, whatever.
Your head aerodynamicist is working on a boat, going into a new technical that
Ridiculous. Yeah.
It's chaos.
Can
Richard, can I
this one day, man?
I was just
Okay,
gonna.
yeah,
I'm gonna try out. Listen, I have thrown bare SH1T in Toto Wolff's direction over the past few weeks. I have. So for me to come on your podcast now and try and defend him is mad. But here's what I'm going to say about Toto. Toto is a gangster, and to talk about him in terms that even intimates that he deserves the Arsene Wenger treatment 2017-2018 is egregious to me. Here's why. Toto talks about the advertising value of Mercedes gone up 2012. He cites anywhere between 60 and 70 million. As at 2021, 4.5 billion US dollars. I'm not sure there is another team principal in history that could have got Mercedes on board with the Mercedes AMG Petronas project in the way that Toto Wolff has. So he's absolutely worthy of credit. To you boys' points, though, I feel like I was a little bit disappointed with his comments over the past 7 days, let's say. A bit too much truth serum, like Martz said. As a Lewis Hamilton fan, I kind of want to hear, lie to me just a little bit, play the game a little bit.
Listen,
we know the car is bad.
Wenger used to lie to us every transfer
lie,
window. He used to say, we got a war chest.
Lie a little bit. Yeah, we nearly signed Cristiano and all that.
Exactly.
Lie to me a little bit, Toto, because there is an optimism / leadership plan. Christian Horner said it best, right? If there was a one-liner to demotivate your team, Toto said every single one of them this weekend and last, we're not where we need to be. We're sorry, this isn't good enough. If we can't build a car over the next 2 years, then Lewis can get... Like, he's just being a bit too... He needs to put back on his leadership cap and take off the truth serum one, because too much truth isn't a good thing all the time. And so in that sense, I agree with
But he's
Mr.
never...
Martz.
Has he... He's never... That's the thing. He's never led within chaos. Like this right now.
My thing with Toto is... I feel like he runs it like a business. Like he puts his business cap on too much. So what Cam was saying about the percentage of the shares, like obviously he owns 30% of this team. You have to remember that. He's not thinking of like a racer like Christian is. Like when you're a racer, you're gonna have that inner dog on you. You're gonna be like, this car is faster than it is, even though it's not. Like I feel like Toto is too happy. Oh yeah, I got my 8 chips. I'm chilling. I'm cool. No, bro. You've got to go to the next level. You've got to go and trust and go to the next level. Don't be looking there now. I'm going to sell off my shares. I'm Gucci now. No.
I can't remember who she was, but someone said it in a space yesterday that we hosted. And she said Mercedes literally went from celebrating 8 championships in 2021 to now celebrating a race win. And they were clapping. Who told them to clap? And I think like it's the truth. Like there's them celebrating that race win clouded everything and kind of ruined everything, and it's painted over the cracks. And this won't be the last time we're talking about Mercedes. So,
but go on then, Martz. Quickly, if I can, Richard. What did you want them to do when they won in Brazil? I understand the point that victory flattered to deceive. The only reason why they got that is because Red Bull screwed up their floor heights, right? And because it was sprint race and Parc Fermé rules, they had to stick to that. But what did you, Martz, your Toto Wolff and Mercedes, you've been working like 12 months nonstop. You've chosen the wrong design philosophy, but you've managed to evolve and develop it over the course of the season to where George Russell by fluke gets a victory, bro. You're telling me you don't set what you stand up there like it's a wake and a funeral after that progress?
I told you how you treat it. This is how I treated it. Yeah, there was a potential for Lewis Hamilton to win that race. I still went and watched Black Panther that same day instead of the race. That is how you treat it. You don't. It doesn't matter. It's like, okay, we got the race win. Well done to us, but this isn't good enough. I expect better. Cam, what team do you support? Arsenal?
Yeah, I'm a Villa
Exactly.
fan.
Do you how often? All right, 2014 when we won the FA Cup, it was nice, wasn't it?
Bro, you
It
got to
was nice because the
celebrate
first
the
time after
wins.
9 years.
You've got to
But if-
celebrate it, bro. Context is key, Martin. I get the
Yeah,
point
but-
that you're making. It's not the Champions League, but
Exactly.
celebrate your Ferguson. Not to make
No,
it into
I'm
a
not
football
saying not be
podcast.
happy. I'm not saying not be
That's
happy.
it, bro. Celebrate your victories,
You
man.
don't. They went over the top because apparently I didn't even know they were wearing t-shirts about the race win. So it's like, what is going on? If you're making t-shirts for the race win, it's ridiculous.
I think you're nickel and diming a little bit there, Martz, and being a bit harsh on them. You got to celebrate the victories.
I know
man.
you're an 8-time world champion. You have to be harsh on them. If I'm used to winning, you know what? Madrid, they'll have the white flags out right now for Toto. They will have the white flags out.
That's too much, Martz. I'm telling you, not yet, man. Not yet,
when
bro.
you're used to winning, that is what you get.
Rest, Martz. Nah, you can't do that. It's been 2 seasons, yeah. You can't do it. It's not even been 2 seasons. One of the
find him last season.
Well, that's Chelsea, and Chelsea moved mad. We can't do that, Martz. It's too premature. Look long form. I was having a chat with Nasher and Jay the other day, and they told me, listen, if you're trading a stock, you can't just look on the short-term chart, right? You've got to look in longer form to get the true picture. 8-time constructors champions, unprecedented sort of like nobody's ever done that. They're the only ones to do it like that in the hybrid era, and you're going to get rid of that dude. 60 million to 4.5 billion USD. Come on, Martz, not yet, bruv.
The numbers don't matter if it's not a championship at the end of the day.
Okay, look. Let's just move on because you're talking about Mercedes all day, and I said, don't worry, we'll do a special episode on Total Wolff and his legacy and whatnot. But yeah, let's move on to other personal matters. And Martz's favorite driver, and that is Fernando Alonso. So, of course, Fernando starts. He starts for P2 after getting boosted up, and he managed to take the lead. Of course, get a nice. He was on the inside of turn 1, managed to get ahead of Sergio Perez and whatnot. But of course, was later in the race dunked on by Sergio. But of course, the big controversy of the day was that he did do it. Was it a start infringement, if you will? He was a bit too far to the left, which is quite bizarre. Which you could say is he doesn't really gain advantage compared to what Ocon was doing. He was a bit too forward, but he managed to get 5 seconds. Then, of course, the howler came. He saved the 5 seconds in when he was pitting. However, it wasn't saved properly because the rear jackman was touching the car, which is classified as still working on a live car or whatever it's called anyway, which means he got 10 seconds. And, of course, he got knocked down to P4, which where he was then 4 tenths only ahead of Lewis, which makes me Lewis missed out on P4 as well, which is a bit of a holler. So, I'm going to come to you on this then, Cam. What did you think of Alonso's performance today and also about his penalty? Do you think it was correct? Do you think it was fair? What's your take from everything?
Let me come to your last first. So, on the penalty, Richard, I think that the FIA, man, I agree completely with Alonso. How he's been on the podium already and celebrated the place, poured the champagne, everything. 35 minutes after the checkered flag, that's when the FIA handed down the penalty. What are we doing, FIA? The FIA, and that meme with the Ferrari bods with the clown faces, they need to do one of those for the FIA because it's nonsense, man. If you are going to make a decision and you are going to effect change, and you need to do it as quickly as they did it bloody at Suzuka when Max Verstappen was declared champion to Leclerc. Do it instantly. Don't let the podium stuff happen and then you want to walk it back. That's nonsense. I feel like I agree with George Russell that was a little bit hard for George Russell, who benefited from that decision, to be saying that he thinks the Jack thing was a bit harsh. You can't even really see it on the bloody camera. So why are we nickeling and diming FIA when there are bigger things that we need to get to? Still sensors, track infringement as an example. And then to your first, Richard, around his performance, Alonso's his levels, crafty to Ross, he's proper levels. Even that start, the fact that he'd laid down some serious rubber, that's the only reason why he was starting over there, right? He'd laid down some serious rubber ready to launch it off the start. How can we not love that, lads? That's proper, like, that's serious racing, god tier levels of racing IQ. And personally, as much as he's a scumbag, I love seeing a dude that kind of leverages that. Even hearing him talk afterwards about that, I've always heard rumor on the paddock of him knowing the delta in front, and he's kind of talking about, goes into some detail around how far Max was behind him before the safety car, and goes to 2 decimal places on the set. He's a different gravy, man. As much as people love or hate him, I think we're privileged to see him now in a car that can do bits, and I'm here for it, Richard. I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, he does have a high racing IQ. I don't think even his biggest critics can admit to that, to say the least. And you did see it on show today as well. Well, maybe not with the start infringement, but you know, he's not the first and he won't be the last to do that, will he?
He's the Joker to my Batman. I can't get rid of him because I need him to tussle. I need to tussle with him.
Martz, Martz, you got some cheat calling George Russell a hater, because you know who on this panel is the hater PhD level.
This.
You're the hater, Martz. You're the hater. Go on. Tell me why Alonso's the Joker.
No, I said he's a Joker to my Batman. Like, listen, I need him to tussle. It's been more fun with him on the grid. We'll put it that way. It's been more fun with him on the grid, and now that he's got a car, if only Mercedes gave Lewis a car, it would have been even more fun. And you would be able to see them tussle. Because they both have great respect for each other's driving. Like, and it's not going to be a case of what we saw in 2021 versus Max. It will be proper wheel-to-wheel racing between those two. And we'll probably see it later on in the season, hopefully, if the Mercedes can develop the car into something else. But I think this just goes back to another point about Mercedes. What the hell were they doing? They don't know the rules. You know what he's potentially getting a penalty for, and you're telling George it's a 5-second penalty. You didn't even think to tell Lewis, that Alonso might be getting a penalty. And Lewis is ended up missing out on a position by 2 tenths.
But hold on, Martin. So correct me if I'm talking nonsense here, but let's do a quick fact check. Notorious B.I.G. featuring Eminem. Dead wrong. I think they didn't know. The 10 seconds was handed down retrospectively.
Yeah, Martz, but Ocon got 10 seconds last time. So they should have known.
Okay, so they maybe they should have known that. Okay, so maybe they should have.
5-second penalty.
All right.
So they clearly don't know the rules, and it's like, what are we doing over here? Come on, guys.
Fair play.
It's like, if it was something new, and I can understand, but Ocon literally got the same penalty last week for 10 seconds, and they went and thought it's a 5-second penalty, and they only told George to stay within the delta, and it's like.
It's a good shout. It's a good shout, bruv. It's a worthy criticism. One of many that you can level at Mercedes for strategy or their
Michael Massey's had a strategy over there. That's the problem.
Oh my gosh.
Let's not get into that, Martz. Come on, bro. Let's not get into all that. Bloody hell. Oh God, right. Kwame, I'm coming to you on this, bro. What do you think of the penalty? And do you think Mercedes were at fault for maybe not telling Lewis to just push a little bit more, to say the least, just in case it was 10 seconds, which it was?
Oh, obviously. Definitely. It's dumb. I felt like it was very stupid for them. The whole, cool. I get, staying to us, which should be 5-second delta. But if you had the tires in him, if you had the pace, if Lewis, why not push? If Russell didn't have the pace and Lewis was faster, let Lewis overtake, and then just push that way. To me, it didn't make any logical sense why you're going to stay in the delta when, if he was lapping faster than said delta, then just in case he doesn't make the 5-second threshold, or at the time they thought 5-second threshold, then cool, the bus case. And they were actually very close to not bus case, because George was 5 seconds and 2 tenths. It's only when the FIA obviously gave it 10 seconds on top, that's how they bus case. But that now inflicted Lewis, because he was only 2 tenths off as well. So to me, it just seemed like a whole misplace of strategy for Mercedes. Again, they should have known the rules. I don't know if to blame on the FIA as well, because I feel like Cam said, if you're gonna do a penalty, you just gotta do it either way. In my opinion, do everything before the race ends, because if you're doing it after the race, then it gets complicated. Just if Alonso, obviously had the 5 seconds stop and go, then that gets inflicted. Do another 10 seconds stop and go. Why are we adding it onto the race? Or if not, just add it straight away onto the end of the race. Why are we doing this calculations afterwards saying, I'm not sure. Because now you're just going to mud up everyone else and it's just going to ruin it for the drivers and for the fans and the teams. It's just, and the thing is, we talk about this every time with the FIA, every time. They need to make it clear and they need to make it clear what the rules are and make it clear what the penalty is. It's simple. That's it. Again, with the rear Jackman, like, I've seen so many times something goes where teams have had the rear Jackman and they've obviously had the tires, obviously had the time and hands up, but rear Jackman is always there. So how come today now Alonso gets afflicted? Don't get me wrong, I understand both penalties. I don't think they're wrong. I feel like the first one, it was very clear he was off his line. Very clear he was onto the left because he tried to get the inside line onto Perez, which, to be fair, did work for him. And then, again, the rear Jackman, but it's very, very harsh penalty. You see on this year as well, they're very much more harsher on starts as well, which, again, I feel like Alonso should have, and that's much I've learned from, but it's a joke. The whole situation is a joke from both sides, man.
Wait. Apparently, no.
Well, the rear Jackman did touch the car. I've seen the video, bro.
Apparently, it's being overturned.
They
That's
do it.
According to Formula Racers, apparently.
Oh, that's probably a fake account, bro. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's wait for official wait.
We need to cut that. We need to cut that. We need to cut that.
Marv thinks it's a shame for them. Legal fake news.
Right.
Oh, God. Right. So, if it does get appealed or not, well, boy, we'll talk about tomorrow and what's about you guys right now. So, let's move on to Max Verstappen. So, of course, he starts from P15. And everyone expects him to win this race, to be fair, which is very understandable. If you looked at his performance in Spa last year, where he won by like 20-odd seconds starting from P14. You know, everyone expected him to absolutely cook this race, but he only managed to finish P2, and he actually made no gains on Sergio Perez once he was in P2. So, I'm going to come to you on this, Cameron. What do you think of Max's performance, and do you think it was quite interesting that Max was able to make no inroads on Checo?
Bro, that's the headline. That is absolutely the takeaway from the race. Because although he was,
Big Chris is saying it. Chris Medland's coming, and he said, despite the being published now, Aston Martin believes the podium set to be reinstated.
Yeah, they said that they were gonna in the afters. They said that they were going to appeal it. I don't know. Well, if Chris is saying that potentially it could get overturned, then it could get overturned. To your point, Richard, about Max Verstappen, I think it was a brilliant drive up until he got next to Checo Perez, and then that Checo Perez pulled out a gap. I know that Max had issues with the car and whatnot, but for Checo Perez to pull out a gap, I don't know. I you know what, my instinct tells me that if Max gun to the head, if Max wanted to close down that gap to Checo Perez, that he could have, and the fact that he pumped out a cheeky purple lap on the last lap is kind of indicative of that. Nevertheless, it's a great. I'm scared, Richard. I think that dude is operating in that RB19 is operating on an unprecedented level. I was reading this book talking about greatness. To be great as a sportsman, you have to do great things a lot of the time, and you might not be there yet, Richard, but I feel like every race is doing these things that are really bloody difficult in F1. And he's just doing them routinely and making them look easy. Now, of course, part of that is the car, because it is a rocket ship. That time when he went up the inside of bloody George Russell and didn't even bother to set it up for the pitch straight was chaos. The car is quick, but practically every you could start him on 20th and he'll just come through. You can almost bet your house that he's going to come through the pack, and it's bro, he's not bad. He's Max. He can steer an F1 car. Let's just say that.
No, most definitely, 100%.
According to Christian Horner, that track is 2/3 the engine, 1/3 skill. So, yeah.
Listen,
I'm just buying now. I'm joking. I'm just being an AR. No, it was a good drive from him.
Always on brand, Martz. It's good. It's good to know, bro. It's always on brand. So yeah, let's move on to another team of Martz's favorites, and that is Ferrari. So of course, Charles, he starts from P12. He made a nice little charge through the field, and that was up until he came into certain Spaniard in Carlos Sainz Jr. Now, I don't know if there's context to this, but as far as I'm aware, he made no inroads on Carlos Sainz and didn't manage to get past him as far as I'm aware. So, Martz, I'm going to come to you on this, bro. What do you think of Ferrari's performance today? Especially since, you know, Charles, starting as far back as he was, and Carlos starting from he was, managed to get right next to him, which, you know, does disprove that, you know, Carlos is not that guy, or is Charles, you know, top 2 on the grid, apparently?
Yeah. They got a little unlucky, I suppose, today. The safety car coming out right after they both pitted kind of ruined everything. But then they got dunked on by Mercedes as well, man. Come on. That is... Yeah. What is Carlos Sainz Jr. doing? I don't know what you can really say on them. The team's just dysfunctional. They don't know what's going on there. It's just Fred doesn't know what's going on there. Yeah, Ferrari, and they're Ferraring it up in it. So there's not much more you can say. I felt sorry for Charles today. As I said, they kind of got all wrong with the pits, and that kind of ruined the race for them. Because they thought they got it right with getting ahead of Stroll, and then the safety car came out and just ruined it all.
Martin, can I ask you a question, bruv? Because this has been the source of much contention and argument over the past 48, 72 hours. As a Lewis man, who do you think, which team would you write? So Lewis has probably got a maximum of, let's say, 5 years left, optimistically. If you want for Lewis to bang that 8th, would you rather see him in at Scuderia Ferrari or stay at Mercedes?
It's a mid-off. I'm sorry, you don't trade. You don't go to Ferrari because it's dysfunction over there. If Ferrari were competent, then maybe, you know, but they're just as bad as Mercedes over there. Their strategy is terrible. They might have a good car, they might not have a good car. You just never know. I mean, they literally have fallen off from last year. And how do you fall off? There should be only one way up, and they literally fallen off. It just doesn't make sense. So there's very clear dysfunction at their team. They're losing half their staff to McLaren or wherever they're going. Yeah, the dysfunction at that team is ridiculous, and I don't see why Lewis, who needs structure and needs something, will move from Mercedes, who have some type of structure. I think the only other team that Lewis probably goes to is Aston Martin, if that. Or everyone's new favorite, Audi. So it's like, but I don't see those moves either. I think he just stays at Merc.
It's home for your aim, brother.
It's techie, bruv. I think that it's that not on account of the fact. I still think deep in my heart that Ferrari have the better machine, and all of those other things are more easily fixable, right, Martz, as far as the mistakes that Ferrari have made. You don't think so?
No, because we've been seeing this from Ferrari for God knows how long. Like it's not since 2012 when Fernando Alonso was there and trying to win the championship. They were still messing it up. It was like a driver carry job, and you can't rely on that team at all. Seb has shown you can't rely on that team. Charles has shown you can't rely on that team. Kimi showing you can't rely on that team. Fernando's told you can't rely on that team. If all these top drivers are telling you can't rely on that team, what makes you think that Lewis will Lewis will be able to change that?
I don't hate it, bruv. I don't hate it. I really want to argue and play devil's advocate, but I don't. You make the case, Martz. I There's nothing for me to say, brethren.
Hey, listen, maybe he might move to Aston Martin next year and Stroll will step aside. Who knows? Weirder things have happened, innit? Hey, you know what I mean? I wasn't going to say it's not the first time he's tried to park his son, but hey, that's a topic for another time, innit? So don't worry about that, you know what I'm saying? Don't worry about that. But anyways, right. Let's move on to the race winner, and that is Sergio Perez. So, of course, he started on P1. You can say, okay, it's max tax because, of course, he didn't get it to Q3 because of engine issues. But he had a solid race. He didn't drop back. He didn't, the fasting gap between him and Max was pretty solid. I know Max had car issues and whatnot. But, you would have thought when Max didn't naturally quicker driver, he, despite the car issues, probably would have gained on Sergio, but I don't think he particularly did, to be fair. He managed to hold it down, and he is a bit of a street circuit merchant, I like to say, to be fair. So, Kwame, I'm coming to you on this. What do you make of Sergio Perez's performance today? And do you think he's just a street circuit merchant?
It was a very composed drive from him. He didn't have the best of starts, but obviously he recovered and he got past Alonso. And then from there, he just kind of was his own world and held it on his own. Not much to really say. He was getting faster laps as well in before Max, going right at the end. But nothing I can say. He had a very composed drive. Like, he didn't have many trouble and much issues really during the race. He just held on his own. And I do think he's a bit of a street circuit specialist. I mean, if you look at track records, he is. But I feel like they were milking it today. The commentators were milking it, in the sense that everything's kind of hand on the plate. He qualified P1. He's in the fastest car. Like, there's not much you can really. He can't do anything wrong in this race. Like, if he drops like any behind Max, you gotta keep sideways, brother. Your team was in P15. You're on P1. You're on the same car. So I feel like he is a street specialist, but don't put today's race in that in that bracket. Obviously, yes, cool. He won it last year, for example, but he knows what Monaco back, he's done his thing, but so his accolades is there, but don't put today in that. In that. That's what I'm saying.
Right, cool. Martz, I managed to tweet some. Well, yeah, okay, yeah, I managed to tweet something off the account, basically saying that Sergio Perez now has the same number of race wins as a certain Ferrari driver. Now, do you who, if your team principal, who would you rather take at your team? And what do you think of Checo's performance, of course?
Yeah, Checo's performance was nice. I think the inside line was more suited for what's his face, Alonso. So he got the better start, but I think I knew Checo's just going to take it back in the next 2-3 laps once the DRS came, because he's driving the same car as Max, and it seems more suited for him this year as well. He seems to be getting the best out of it, and maybe it is because it's just all powerful, but he's not also having the same issues as Max. I think he was having some issues today. I can't remember where it was, but he's he's doing well. In terms of him versus Charles,
mid-off, right?
Yeah.
It's rough. It's rough.
I think you still go with Charles. I think if you put Charles in that car, I think he puts 10 seconds on Max's head top, not 5. And he doesn't allow Max to get a fastest lap either.
Okay.
I think Charles definitely does better than him, Checo. But again, Checo's at this point, this is his final contract, so just let him enjoy it while he can, innit? Enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy your Sunday drives, man. Get a couple wins, stat pad them. Hopefully, he might be able to get 15 race wins by the end of next year. Then he's up there with David Coulthard and them, man. So at that point, you're an F1 legend.
Hey, that means he'll have
Don't
5
say
more
that,
than
man.
Bottas.
Huh?
Man's a court hero fan. Hey,
I said
listen.
he could have 5 more than Bottas. Oof. I think it's 15. Listen, you know what I mean? That's another debate. You know what I'm saying? But no, on your Charles points, I agree with some of it. I was just being a prick comparing them because I like to rattle F1 Twitter sometimes and Charles fans. But no, yeah, obviously congratulations to Checo and whatnot. Deserved win. You can say okay, max tax, but listen, you hold it down. You know what I mean?
always gonna say if Perez is though, you're in your final year of a contract. You have to be that guy. You have to be that dog in you, man. You have to match Max this year, otherwise, that seat. Listen, I need him to be. How footballers or basketball players when they go to their final year contract, yeah, you get people. You start paying for the contract. I need Perez to giant for the contract this year, and results like these I ain't see more often. That's all I'm gonna say on Perez.
To be fair, I don't think he's getting because I don't think it runs out this year. I think it runs out next year, his contract. But I don't think he's going to get kept on beyond the year anyway, to be honest with you. Because I think politics will come into it. I think Nick DeVries... Well.
Hey, he's cooking, bro.
Well. No, look, I do not have an agenda on Yuki. I just don't... I think he saw me a bit of a dream, that's it. I think he's good enough for F1, but maybe needs to switch teams from AlphaTauri. Because AlphaTauri is a conveyor belts of young drivers and bit it. If he gets a nice little seat of Williams or who else is mid? Not McLaren, they're booked up. Less Norris leaves, then he can go there. He's getting a nice little seat somewhere else. That's fine. But I think politics will come into. I think Nick DeVries might blag that second Red Bull seat. I can't lie to you, bro. I think from a political standpoint, not from a performance standpoint, unless he does something crazy, I don't know. Gets like a P4 one time.
They're all about performance.
I hear that. But if he gets like a cheeky, I don't know, P4 in Suzuka, some bullshit like that, I don't know, goes on like a mad run, I would surprise if he gets that seat. Red Bull have done in the past.
I think Logan Sargent gets that seat before Nick DeVries.
You think they're gonna take Logan Sargent off Williams to put him in the Red Bull seat?
If they're gonna deal with Ford and they want an American driver in there, I don't see why not. I think that's more likely than Nick DeVries going to the main Red Bull seat because he's a stinker. But I'm sorry, he has not impressed. I know it's 2 races, but he has not impressed. Even in Quali, he's had stinkers, man.
Because the thing is, Oscar and Logan, both of these races, they show glimpses of talent. But
yeah,
he's 28. 28.
See, this is not. Let me just play devil's advocate. No? See, the thing is with Nick, people do the age thing. Oh yeah, look, he's been in F2 bear long, F3 champion, FE champion, rated and all shit like that. And you say, okay, the Fugazi championships. That's cool. I can roll with that. That's absolutely fine. But with the age thing, it's like, is that really relevant? He's okay. He's last year he was in different F1 cars. When you switch in and out of the club, oh yeah, this club's dead. Let me move to the next one. There's not enough babes in this one. Let me move to this one. Drinks too much in this one. Let me go get a bottle from here. You know what them ones did? That's what he was doing in F1 last season. Of course, he got a P9 or whatever it was in Monza last year. His stock went super high. I don't know why. It didn't need to go that high. And Red Bull were like, you know what? All these young youths are meaty. Let's bring Nick DeVries in. He's Dutch. And to piss off Mercedes. They've done that now. He's in like a last, how to put it? He's in like a face-off, if you will, with Yuki, because there's rumors going around of a case of whoever loses this head-to-head battle this season will get kicked out, sort of thing. So, if, Nick DeVries somehow blags, a head-to-head record, whatever, against Yuki, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets promoted, bro. It's politics at the end of the day. Because he wasn't Dutch.
The reason why I bring up the age thing is because when you're 28, it's unless you're a top driver, no one stays in this sport past 30. if you're a mid driver, you don't stay in the sport past 30. Everyone that's stayed in this sport past 30 has shown glimpses of being a great driver or good midfield driver. I mean, Hulkenberg the exception, really. But K-Mag as well.
Hulk's decent. Come on.
Decent, man,
Come on.
midfield.
Hulk's a solid driver.
Solid,
Come on.
Yeah, but he's never got a podium, and that kind of.
I'm not going to debate into this now. I'm not going to debate into it now.
Yeah, that's a point in itself, isn't it? Yeah.
You can't say that. I mean, when you have so many races, when you're finishing in the points, and you've had decent cars, and to not once finish on the podium, it's kind of a bit scary. But as you said, we won't go into that just yet. And then K-Mag as well. K-Mag was when he first came on the scene, everyone thought he was like a future world champion. And he's just, again, a solid driver. Obviously, Alonso, 2-time world champion. You have Lewis, the GOAT. Danny Ricciardo. Checo. Danny Ricciardo, I mean...
Up to a certain point.
Up to a certain point, he was living off his Red Bull career, especially at McLaren, to get that McLaren seat. And now he's just not... He's gone.
Not here,
he's what, 32, 33? You don't stay in the sport past 30 when you're not good enough. And if you're struggling in an AlphaTauri, you're not going to make it. You won't make it. It's a young sport. They want young drivers, and they'll give young drivers the time. They're not going to give you the time when you're that age, really. He's got 2 years left at the top. If he can't prove that he can potentially get into a seat like McLaren, then what use are you to teams?
Yeah, no, I mean, unless, I don't know, maybe like, as you said, you're theory about sergeants. Let's say, I don't know, he said to Williams, let's do a swap. Nick could go back to Williams. They'll be happy with him there. They're happy with his performance in Monza. Sometimes moments last a lifetime in terms of your stock credit.
Williams will have another young driver by that time. I don't know.
What Jack doing?
Who knows?
No, he's helping, and he's your Kwame. See, I don't even know who Williams got in the books. Was it Jack Aiken that youth?
Aiken,
yeah.
Was it Jack of all sages, says Kwame?
No, they got Zach O'Sullivan in the F3. And what? Nasani. That's it, fam.
My God.
They ain't got people, man. Yeah, they ain't got that many, so he'll be fine.
Yeah, Russ looking a bit really still on kind of life, and I mean, James Constant is gonna have to fix that. I can't lie, bro. Yeah,
all right, but then you got to remember the top talent coming up as well. Iwasa, he's coming next season. He's gonna be racing.
Well, this could be a custody of AlphaTauri seat ladder match, but he was to send out to these. Hey, it could be. Hey, listen, boy, I'll be there no matter what. That's all I'm gonna say. I'll be there no matter what. But listen, we'll do a little AlphaTauri Red Bull segments another time. But let's get on to driver of the day. So, Kwame, who's your driver of the day?
I mean, thinking, man. Should I be shameless or should I not?
I mean, you're always shameless, anyway, so I don't know the differences.
Yeah. No, my shameless option would be Yuki, but I'll be shameless, man. But Yuki. He was over place today. Listen, that car, yeah. Listen, it's one of the worst cars in the grid. Imagine not of being where he was. A good strategy for the team today, for once. Imagine the boys of go for the medium and the hard. Got up to P6 at one point. Just before the safety car. You can argue that the chain for the verge safety car to safety car kind of ruined it for him because obviously that's obviously when the grid got closer and then he's kind of setting up for the Haas and hopefully for the Alpine as well, who also had a good race. But yeah, the shameless answer. Sell some coin as well. I'm going to go for Yuki still.
Cool.
Why not be shameless? Why not?
As I said, you're always shameless anyway, so what difference does it make? But Martz, who's your driver of the day?
It will be
Who?
Verstappen.
Was that Magnussen? Who was that?
Yeah, Kevin
Alonso?
Magnussen. When someone goes from was it 15th to second, you can't deny it, can you? Not much as you want to be a hater. There's some things you can't hate on. So
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I hear that. I hear that too.
at that point, if you're that's just lying. Like, and I don't lie.
Is it? What? You could talk. So don't talk to you now.
Oh my God.
Okay, yeah,
man.
fair enough.
Aye.
I think I'm gonna give it to Max still. Yeah, I guess I'll give it to Max still. Yeah, I guess him or Checo, like, you know what I mean. Either or is what it is. So let's move on to our Latifi Award. Martz, who's your Latifi?
Man, I didn't really think about this. I am going to give it to. I'll do Bottas because I don't know what he was doing. I just saw him finish last, and I'm just going to give it to Bottas because I know he didn't start last. Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. I just need this. So man was doing Bottas prop at the beginning of the episode, and that man's doing Bottas Latifi today. Hey, Mars, this is why I love you, man.
Yeah, this you know what? Yeah, you're right. You know, man was doing hashtag bring back Bottas, and now he's saying Bottas Latifi Award. That's crazy.
We might have to change the award to the Bottas Award, bro. Latifi's not here no more.
No, come on.
Oh,
What about you, or the Zhao Gang Award?
Hey, to be fair, he was actually kicking Bottas today. He was actually kicking Bottas. I can't. Latifi though. I'm trying to think because no one really had like a stinking race. Like, yeah. I would say Carlos Sainz. No, I'll give it to Carlos Sainz actually. I'll give it to Carlos Sainz to be fair with you. Like them Ferrari were just so mid today. Like they were just so meh. And the fact that your teammate
actually no, sorry. I actually want to give it to Lando Norris. I know he had problems, but that guy is stinking, man. I think he had a front wing today.
But he had a front wing issue.
Huh?
And
just like he had a front wing issue. He had to get changed, just like Piastri.
But he still couldn't pass Logan Sargent. Is that if the car that I don't think the car
fair, that Williams is faster than you think. Like
in a straight line, it's big. I can't lie, bro. And when Piastri passes them as well,
and Piastri took over Sargent's quick too as well.
Yeah, but he knows from you know what I mean, from F3 and F2. So I know you G. I know all your post moves. You can't your ISO moves don't work on me, bro. You know what I'm saying? Norris is not familiar with his game. You know what I mean? So wait, Kwame, who was your
I'll give it to Carlos Sainz Jr.
Yeah, he was a bit smelly today, wasn't he? Yeah.
I think it was just very, very mid for him.
Yeah, I think could I give it to him? Like, I don't know. Oh, whatever, man. Yeah, hold that, Carlos. But yeah, I think that's all for today. So thank you for tuning in. If you got this far, please don't forget to do the usual stuff like comment, subscribe on YouTube, follow us on all socials. You can see Martz doing TikTok dances with Kwame there, Twitter and Instagram, all of the Pitstop Fracas. What else are we on? Apple and Spotify, of course. If you're listening, make sure to give us a 5-star review. Please and thank you. So that's all for today. And I don't think there's a race next week. I don't know. No, there's no race.
No, 2 weeks to Australia, isn't it? Is it Australia?
Yeah, Australia. I think the next one. Yeah. I guess you'll see us next time.
So it coincides with international break as well.
Well, we are in the trenches, man.
Yeah, la. Anyways, catch us next week for another episode of Pitstop Fracas. Ta-da.